Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. I hope you're getting out in some of this beautiful weather and hope you are enjoying at least a little more freedom that's coming from our way by way of our governor. And hopefully, very soon, we'll all be able to go back to somewhat of our normal lives. In our chapter 26 that we just completed, we talked about how Christ fulfills the Davidic covenant, and most of you did a very good job of writing an essay on that, on the features of that covenant, and how Jesus is the one who fulfills that covenant, and is the answer to who Saint Paul was taught, or who King David was talking about when he said, "The Lord said to my Lord." Who was he referring to? Of course, he was referring to Christ. In chapter 28, we're going to talk about the structure of the church. And one of the things that is oftentimes a criticism of the Catholic Church is that the structure of the church is not found in Scripture. But we're going to endeavor to find that it is in Scripture, that there is, even from the very beginning, there was a structure and a hierarchy. And one of the first things you're going to talk about is the primacy of Peter. How is Peter so important? The other thing that I ask you to do, and this is a bit of a challenge, is to remember the different stages of the church, of the early church, found in the New Testament, starting with the crowd, which was just a group of people who were following Jesus, the crowd, and then going up in smaller and smaller groups to the finally you get to the top, which is just one person, St. Peter. So there were 6 groups that we talked about along the way, and I'm not going to tell you who they were, and they're not in your book, but at least not listed in your book, but you can remember them from starting with the crowd, and then who was next, and there's 4 intervening smaller and smaller groups as they get higher and higher in importance, finally ending up with St. Peter. So I'd ask you to do that. The other thing is to find to write about 2 sacraments. If you have received 2 sacraments, please write about them and your own experience receiving those sacraments. If you haven't received 2 sacraments, just pick 2. And write about your, if you've received them, write about your own experience, if you remember anything about it. And then also, how is that particular sacrament found in Scripture? So that's the other thing that I'd like you to work on. Do your study questions. You'll receive a separate grade for your study questions. And make sure your answers are in full sentences. In terms of the final, I posted it on RenWeb, but I want to go over it again. We're not going to have a written final where you take a test. It's going to be a project. The project is to find 20 characters in the New Testament and write a brief description of where they're found in the New Testament and who that person was. So obviously certain people are going to have a lot of stuff about them, and you don't have to write everything about the person. Certainly St. Peter, the Blessed Mother, Christ himself, all have tons and tons of stuff. But there's lots of very interesting characters who only appear once, who just appear, say something, do something, and then they leave. So you can come up with 20 and write just that brief description, and that's going to be due at the end of the term. So please get that in. If you want to get it in early and get done, that's certainly fine, and I will keep a good record of that. I hope you're doing well. I miss all of you, and I hope that you will continue to learn and delve into the Scriptures even after this class is over. God bless you all, and have a wonderful week.